While researching this dish, we fell in love with the fresh herbs that Italy uses. But we didn't want to sacrifice the shredding capabilities and the dry rub of the Iron Range. So what did we do? Find out next on the Tiburzi Test Kitchen. In the late 19th century, early 20th century, they came to the Iron Range from various parts of the world. Finland, Slovenia, Italy, Croatia, many others. All bringing with them the recipes they love to eat and cook. Porketta goes back to Italy. Now traditionally they take a 1-year-old pig, debone it, stuff it with the herbs, roll it up, and serve it. So when the porketta recipe gets to the range, of course many families put different seasonings that they like, and it starts to change. Also, they're not going to use a whole pig. They buy a roast that goes on sale, like a pork butt roast. Now it's elevated to the status of the 3 Ps of the Iron Range: patita, porchetta, and pasties. And thanks to Leo Fraboni, it even broadens the region, goes United States wide. We like different aspects of different areas. We like the fresh herbs of the loin roast, but we also like the shredding sandwich style of the Iron Range and love the dry rub that you find on the outside. So we want to incorporate the best of both worlds. We start with fresh herbs: fennel, dill, basil, Italian parsley. Starting with the fennel, we remove the stalks, set them aside for later. On this fennel bulb, there's no wilted outer layer, kind of like an onion. So we just remove the bottom root end and we wash it. We chop the fennel bulb in half, then half again. We remove the inner cores and send them to the food processor. Next, we remove the stems from the Italian parsley and do the same for the basil. We remove the greens of the fennel and the dill, put all the greens in the food processor, and chop them up. With this pork butt roast, I want to locate the shoulder bone and then find a seam right next to it that I can follow to cut it in half. I follow that seam with my knife and cut the roast. Then I want to place 1/2-inch deep slits throughout the front and back of the roast. Now, I'm going to remove the shoulder bone and finish adding more slits. I kind of feel like Jason Voorhees. So I incorporated various recipes, but also went back to a family recipe. And in that family recipe, it just calls for handfuls of this green, handfuls of this green. So I was really scared on the measurements. I cover the inside of the meat with a thin layer of chicken base. I rub that in. I add some garlic powder, I add some cracked black pepper. And again, I work this all into the meat. Now it's time for those fresh herbs and chopped fennel. I work them into the slits. I press them in. Make sure to cover the whole inside. As one recipe said, the more greens, the better. Finally, I top it off with a grated fennel bulb. Get this on the research. Another use of that fennel bulb is you cut it in half and then quarter it and toss it on a salad. Now, I will say the anise flavor, the black licorice flavor, wasn't like really overpowering, but it was there. So I don't know if I could do that on a salad. Now we roll the roast from end to end. We then use butcher twine to tie around east and west and tie around north to south, just making sure we can get an even cook on this guy. Now let's assemble the dry rub. We take fennel seeds, we grind them as close to a powder as possible. To that powder, I then add garlic powder, seasoned salt, black pepper, onion powder. Back on the roast, I cover the entire outer layer with that dry rub. Place it in a roasting pan, cover it with foil, bake it at 350 for about a ½ hour per pound, or until that internal temperature reaches 165. Remove from the oven, remove from the roasting pan, and let cool. Once cool enough, this allows you to shred. It also allows you to remove a lot of the fat. Most importantly though, reincorporate that juice from the roast while shredding. On the range, they serve them on hard Italian rolls. Here, we're gonna serve them on fresh grocery store dollar buns. I suggest putting mustard. I believe my uncle put mayo, or you can eat them plain. Next time I make this, I'd probably make more dry rub. Probably even incorporate some of that chicken base into the dry rub. I'd also make 2 or 3 of them because you can freeze them and then they're already prepared. Just toss them in the oven. Join us next time. Until then, keep cooking and eating.